Hello and welcome back to another episode of Dear Hollow Heroes, and what a week for sports. The NFL had another amazing weekend slate of football. Dan Connolly 2.0, failure for the Patriots, and the Giants with an amazing comeback. And then Denver having their Hail Mary prayer answered just to not get 2-point conversion. Baseball, it's just Atlanta Braves being better than everyone else for the next 4 years, and basketball is finally creeping around the corner. And as always, I'm here with Meek Man Liam Meekum.
What's going on, guys?
And Rose Pierre Rob Kelly.
In here with a lot of energy today. I'm very excited. What's up?
All right, well, that
did not sound like energy.
It was Ben who was bringing the energy.
Oh, Ben's bringing the energy? Yeah.
Yeah, no, he came in saying hello like it's 6 o'clock in the morning.
Well, yeah, you do have a problem with me at 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's okay. We're moving on immediately from that.
Okay, just for everyone to understand here, at 6 a.m., I have a tendency to be up and ready to go, but Rob and Liam have a tendency to be up and not ready for anything and hate the world. And so they're up drinking their coffee, and then I'm just like...
You're just so chipper. I don't understand it.
You know the song from
The sun's barely up, but I don't get how you can just have a smile on your face.
You know the song from Oklahoma that is saying, oh, what a beautiful morning, in that song? And then there's just you two just like, shut up.
And then you don't.
No, I don't listen. I'm too excited. It's a new day.
I didn't want the night to end. I wanted to be sleep.
I just want to punch him in the head so bad.
Well, let's get right to the top stories. As stated before, the NFL had another amazing weekend with so many close games. Some of them got to be lucky to go 2-0, some are 1-1, and some have even fallen to 0-2. So my question for you guys is, which 2-0 team is the biggest pretender, and which 0-2 team is going to make the playoffs even after their strugglesome start? I'm going to lead off on this question because I have ranked the 2-0 teams and the 0-2 teams in the NFL. So which one should I start with, the 0-2 or the 2-0?
Let's go worst first.
Worst first? So these are my ranked from the best team to worst team, but I'll go backwards. I'll go from the worst 0-2 team, like the team that's the worst, and go all the way up to the most likely to make the postseason. So the worst team, my number 9 of the 0-2 teams, in 9th place is the Cardinals. They're the worst. Number 8 is the Texans. I think they're a dumpster fire besides CJ Stroud, but that's straightforward. Number 7 is the Bears. They're also a dumpster fire besides not their quarterback. Besides, they're a dumpster fire. Anyways,
I forgot their quarterback's name.
They just have more talent. No, it's Justin Fields, but they just have more talent.
I certainly didn't.
They have more talent. They're just the worst. I think they're the most likely to be the fallen off team in the league soon. Number 6 is the Panthers. I think they have a lot of upside, but I think they're just not there yet. Number 5 is the Broncos. This is where I start to hit teams that I think could make the playoffs still. There's the Broncos at 5. I think that they're just too much of a hot mess. Number 4 is the Vikings. Their offensive lines and their defensive struggles will hold them back forever. Number 3 is the Patriots. I think they're just one tick away from being a winning team. I just don't think they have enough. I don't think that tick will come in time. Number 2 is the Chargers. I think that Justin Herbert has MVP potential, so that's the reason I picked the Chargers. And number 1 is obviously the Bengals. They've been there before. They're in this position before. I think they'll be just fine. So, what do you guys think about the 0-2?
So I think you're right. Bengals, Chargers, they're in a tier of their own. They're fine. It's a rough start. They'll figure it out. I think the Bengals will figure it out at QB. I actually have been saying since I saw the Bengals game, I think they should bench Joe Burrow next week. He hasn't been playing well. He's injured. Sit him a week. What do you have that's going to be good coming from this game? Should be playing the Rams, I think, next week.
It's a primetime game.
What is going to come from it if he just gets hurt again?
He's out for season. There's no postseason.
He hasn't even been playing well. So what are we doing? We're keeping him in there to play mediocre football?
And they're not winning the division. The Ravens got that locked up.
That's besides the point. I'm talking about in the best interest of the Bengals, you sit Joe Burrow this week. You have to. But anyways, the Chargers, I think they have a lot of talent. They do this to us every year where they have so much talent and then just disappoint because they play this analytics brand of football. But I think overall they'll be okay. I think they've got a decent shot still to make the postseason.
Aren't they already trying to sell off Cam Akers? Or is that the Rams?
That's the Rams.
That's the Rams.
They've been trying to sell Cam Akers for years. They've never liked that guy.
And he's not bad.
He's okay.
But for a second running back, he's a phenomenal second running back.
He's okay.
I'm sorry, their colors are almost identical, so when I see them next to each other, it's just...
The Vikings, you're right, the secondary's terrible, the O-line's terrible, but they have Kirk, they have Justin Jefferson, they have Jordan Addison. It's a good roster, skill-wise at least. But the trenches are just not good. And that secondary is just unimpressive aside from Harrison Smith.
When the leaves turn to snow, the trenches is what matters.
Trenches is what matters.
Trenches is what matters. Dude.
Trenches and durability.
I think my biggest issue with your list is I just think the Bears suck that much that they should have been bottom 2 instead of bottom 3.
Really?
I love that Justin Fields has not done it. I've been saying it since day one, since he came into the league.
I'm sorry, but Justin Fields was so bad this week that there was a moment where there was no defender trying to charge him. His O-line had nothing to do, and he still threw an interception.
Yep.
That's just the worst.
And so
he had zero pressure in his face.
He's
Literally
so bad.
zero.
So one other thing, just to before we move on, just to continue, on this Justin Fields bandwagon here. Did you see the press conferences after the game?
That's what I was going to mention too.
The differences between him and Kirk.
He's not a leader either.
He's not a leader.
Not a leader.
Because Kirk, they're 0-2. Justin Fields, they're 0-2. They're in the same terrible situation. And Kirk goes out there, and it's not his fault. But he goes out there and says, what if I threw that perfect ball? What if I could have done something just slightly different, and I could have changed the outcome of the game? It's on me. I should have done something. And he'll go home, and he'll reevaluate, and he'll come out stronger the next week. Justin Fields, what did he do? He blamed the play calling. He didn't even take any responsibility for the pick he threw at the end of that game. And it was a bad pick.
It was a horrendous pick.
He played like garbage all day, aside from maybe a rushing touchdown. And even that, I'm unimpressed, truthfully. I'm done with the running. I don't care. You got to be able to throw the ball in the league. I'm done with just running quarterbacks.
How long?
And he goes out and just blames his offensive coordinator. At a certain point, you got to take responsibility.
You think it'll get to a point where the Bears will just say you're the running back now?
No, I don't. I think there's a point where he might be the backup quarterback now, but I don't think there's a point.
I think the leadership's not there. I think it's pathetic how bad his leadership skills are. I think that he just is not the guy. He hasn't. And by the way, fun fact: Ohio State quarterbacks that are starters, and this is including Joe Burrow because he was once an Ohio State quarterback. They're completely defeated. No Ohio State quarterback has won a game.
Who we got? Justin Fields, Joe Burrow,
and C.J. Stroud, I believe.
Huh?
I could be wrong. Is C.J. Stroud from the Ohio
There's
State?
got to be more.
CJ Stroud is from Ohio.
Yeah, that's the 0-6.
Is that the only?
It's
Is there
0-6.
only 3?
It's 0-6. Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
So
There's only 3 Ohio State quarterbacks in the league right now?
Yeah,
that
we
feels
say,
low.
No, we say that, but it is about right.
they're not in Ohio. The Ohio
Yeah,
State doesn't
it's
breed
not-
quarterbacks.
It's not a quarterback.
They have a lot
factory.
of players. There's
They-
just not a lot.
Here's the other thing: they don't breed good quarterbacks.
Clearly.
When was the last good quarterback you remember? Besides, and Joe Burrow was not a starter, by the way, so he
Yeah,
doesn't
Joe
count.
Burrow is barely
He
an
can't
Ohio
count.
State
He can't
quarterback.
count.
No, he's an LSU guy.
Oh yeah.
You win a chip with the team, that's your team.
Oh yeah. So I think it's just the Ohio State just doesn't produce quarterbacks, but that's another story for another day. So what do you think, Rob, about the 0-2 teams? Do you agree? Besides Bears,
I think the Chargers and the Bengals are the 2 teams with the highest ceilings because of what we've already mentioned. They have 2 really good quarterbacks and decent teams built around them. It's just unlucky starts if we're being honest. Especially with the Chargers because
The Chargers have been unlucky.
that feels like pure unluck because Justin Herbert has looked the best he ever has in the first 2 games, and they've still found a way to lose both.
I would argue the Bengals aren't unlucky right now, but they are not playing up to their potential, not even close.
And they played 2 of the better defensive teams.
Agreed.
in
They'll
Football with
turn
a
it
hurt.
around. Absolutely, but it hasn't looked good so far.
No.
I just have one more thing to add. Russell Wilson's looked okay.
yes.
I've been pretty impressed how he's been able to turn it around. The whole Broncos team has looked okay for being 0-2. Close game with the Raiders, and sure, it's just the Raiders, but you have to appreciate a close game when you see it. And the Commanders, they're 2-0. Let's not discount them. They just got Bieniemy, right?
Yeah.
They have good weapons. They have Sam Howell playing quarterback. But, good D-line, a decent defense. It's not a bad team.
I agree. And I think that the most likely team to turn around is obviously the Bengals, especially if Joe Burrow gets healthy. But I think the number one team that I think, let's just say everything doesn't change, like all the players stay the same, I think who's going to come out with the best records? Chargers. If all of the problems stay the same, I got the Chargers.
And I would say if I had to throw a sleeper in there, I would say it would probably be the Broncos.
Okay. So this is my 2-0 teams ranked, and I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to go to the number 1 2-0 teams. Like, those teams are good. And then I'm going to get myself towards the biggest pretender. Now, of course, number 1, in my opinion, is the best team in football, is the San Francisco 49ers. They are not pretenders.
Nope.
At all. Number 2, sorry, Liam, it is the Dallas Cowboys. Jeez, Crow.
They look really good.
They are balling.
Granted, they've played 2 New York teams, and we've gone on and on this show about how bad New York sports is.
But let me tell you this.
Yes, we have.
What made me believe in Dallas a little bit, how they pieced that defense. Without the Jets defense, who's probably the best defense in football.
One of them.
If not
Niners,
top 3.
Yeah.
Pieced them. Like, without Brandon Cooks.
Yep.
Without his second option. Pieced them. That is concerning.
Oh, yeah, they look scary.
For the other team.
They look scary.
Number 3, I have the Dolphins. I think the win against the Patriots is kind of telling to why this Dolphins team I think is going to be better than last year, is because against a Belichick team that always goes, I'm going to take away what you do best, you have to win another way. They really did win another way. So number 4, I have the Eagles, even though I feel like it was a Mickey Mouse run so far. Mickey Mouse run, by the way, means it's a miracle.
Can't deny the talent on the roster, though.
Yeah, it was a cartoon type run, but they're too good. They're a full team, but I think that they're the least convincing less convincing of the top 3. Number 5, I have the Ravens. I think that's
about time.
I think that they have.
I think he's doing it right. I think he's killing it right now.
I think that they have what it takes to win the AFC North, but I feel like they are a team that is just not trustworthy to last 17 games. So that's why I put them down there. I was going back and forth with them,
and
actually.
now we have the NFC South.
And then we have, yes, actually, wow. So my number 6 team is the Saints. I think they have a lot of talent. I think that they're in a really rough position because I think that they have a tremendous team there. I just think that they don't have the chemistry. But
finally lost me here.
But I think that starting 2-0 is really nice. 7, I have the Falcons. I think that they have 2...
Ooh, you definitely lost me.
Yeah, I think they have 2 really good running backs. I think they have a good quarterback. I think he's developing very well. I think they have a great coach. I think this team has what it takes, and they also have a lot of grit. That was an amazing comeback against the Packers last week.
It was.
So I think that they have the fight, and that's a big thing to me. I think having the fight in the second half is a huge, that's brownie points to me. Number 8, I have the Commanders, and I really just say, Eric Bieniemy, how that man does not have a head coaching job has got to be his own decision after this season. My goodness, he put on a clinic against the Denver Broncos after that first quarter. Unbelievable. He is the best offensive coordinator probably in the league by a lot. I think it's incredible what he's doing. Number 9, I have the Bucks. Now, Baker is cooking. He is cooking. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, great wide receiving core, solid defense. My problem is actually kind of Baker Mayfield. I don't trust he can do that for 17 games. And don't get me wrong, I could wind up being completely wrong, but facts have shown over history that Baker has consistently not been good for a 17-game stretch.
So we've seen Baker throughout his entire career pretty much go through one consistent cycle. He plays well, people gas him up. He then plays terrible, and people doubt him. And then he says, I'm going to go silence those haters, and plays well. And the cycle starts over and over and over again, and therein we have the Baker Mayfield cycle. We are in
Silence the haters.
the silence the haters part. But I'm going to fall right back in the trap. I like him. I think he's going to be a good quarterback here, man. I'm excited about Baker Mayfield. He is slinging it. Mike Evans looks like his type of receiver. Big-bodied guy, goes up for the ball and goes and gets it, man. It's a fun offense to watch. And it's a good defense and a good O-line. I like the Bucs, man. I would put them right up there, below the Commanders, above the Saints. Falcons are the worst 0-2 team or 2-0 team.
I don't disagree. I think the bottom 4 are subject to change literally by next week.
And I'm even close to putting them above the Commanders. I don't know. I get this gut feeling where I think the Bucs have talent.
So the thing about Baker Mayfield is, I feel like just watching it, it's the first time a team has actually trusted him with the ball. It's not saying you're our starting quarterback and we're giving you the ball. It's your starting quarterback and we're trusting you with the ball.
And
here, go out, make your plays.
think about this, too. When's the last time he really had time to learn a playbook?
Cleveland.
He's played for 3 teams since then.
Yeah.
This is his 4th.
Carolina was rough for him. And then he went over to the Rams. Actually had a great game.
Rams, he had one good game, but it was bad. And, I mean, we're finally seeing a Baker Mayfield that maybe left a toxic system in Cleveland. Look at Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson used to be good. He sucks now. Maybe there's something in Cleveland. Maybe there's something in the water.
Can you hear me out on this take, though? I think that Baker Mayfield is kind of, in a way, reminds me a lot, and I know everyone, and I do love him myself. He reminds me a lot of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Where Ryan Fitzpatrick will go to a new team, ball out, be phenomenal. Places like, remember Buccaneers Ryan Fitzpatrick, where he was doing in the Deshaun Jackson coat, plays super well, and then just plays terrible. And they trade him or move him around. He goes to another team and starts playing unbelievable. So I think he is very much similar to a Ryan Fitzpatrick in that regard. So that's why I can't quite trust it. It could not happen next week. He could ball out again. Could wait till week 6. But there's going to be a point where this team full-on collapses, I think.
So I don't hate that comparison. But where you're kind of not getting me here is I was a big Ryan Fitzpatrick guy. I thought he had the talent to start on a lot of those teams. And if not, he was the best backup in the league. Especially, remember what he did on the Jets? I thought he had the talent to be the Jets starting quarterback. And a couple of other spots, too. I thought he was good with...
Tennessee?
No, sorry, the Bucks, who I'm talking about. He was okay with Tennessee. He didn't really have a shot in Texas, but no. I mean, he was a good quarterback. And I think Baker has had a worse hand dealt to him than Ryan Fitzpatrick. So I'm definitely excited about this season.
I do agree that he definitely had a worse hand dealt to him, but I did want to iterate that he had his best stint, in my opinion, with the Jets. But as I said, he starts out well. I think his best season was 2015 with the Jets. He had 2 years with the Jets. His first year, phenomenal. 31 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. That's pretty good. Almost 4,000 yards. But then the next season, 12 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. That is horrendous.
Yeah.
So that's what he does, and that I know. But the difference with Fitzpatrick is more like longevity-wise. Like he will take longer for this to happen. Baker's kind of shown. I know it's been a lot less of a hand we're dealt here, but I think it's been a little quicker. So, but for my own opinion, I think that it will probably end. But I'm not rooting for that. That's just my gut feeling.
And you got to think about this too. Fitzpatrick had rosters. Baker Mayfield has pretty much never had a roster.
I feel like he had Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry.
Maybe in Cleveland.
Odell and Jarvis Landry.
But again, we're talking about Cleveland, man.
That's fair. Cleveland does suck at
everything.
It's
the Browns.
Cleveland does.
Everyone sucks on the Browns. They can never get anything going.
Except Nick Chubb, R.I.P.
R.I.P. I mean, you got to feel for those fantasy owners.
Unbelievable. Oh, man. Just to put some reference here, he almost traded for him an hour before the game.
I almost sent the farm over for Nick Chubb.
Shout out my stepfather. That is rough. But anyway, Rob, what do you think is the biggest pretender?
The biggest pretender?
Of the 2-0 teams.
Oh, jeez. I'm sorry, I wasn't really listening all that much. I'm going to say the Cowboys, if I'm being honest. Just because the Cowboys are just going to pull Cowboys and start losing.
He picked a random team again.
No, I actually didn't.
Do that.
I think Micah Parsons and their defense will hold them for as long as they can. But Dak Prescott will not be able to finish out the season as strong as he's starting.
Accident waiting to happen, you think?
It could be. We've seen 2 weeks of good Cowboys football. We've seen years of Cowboys choking football.
We've seen years of Dak Prescott looking good the first couple weeks and then slowly fading as the season continues.
They've never looked this good.
No.
Even Zeke's, what was that, his rookie year that they went crazy?
Yes. Yeah.
Zeke and him rookie year, they still didn't look this good.
They look crazy good. Who's running a route against those two corners?
Who's covering those two receivers?
Who on earth is going to guard Tony Pollard after worrying about so much about those two receivers?
There's no way. There's no way.
And then they have a solid offense. Dallas Cowboys, they're scary. Remember when we were all doubting them? My goodness gracious.
But speaking of accident waiting to happen, you could say the same thing about the Ravens or the Dolphins.
They could
implode at any time.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, so
And
I
we're
say
talking-
one random team, and you guys just tag team up on me,
No.
talking about the Baltimore Ravens, thinking they're just going to implode.
Rob, are the Ravens not the most unfortunate, injury-riddled team that has ever existed? They can't go one season without major injuries.
To their quarterback, too.
To everyone.
Whoa, hey,
Everyone.
nothing has happened to Lamar yet this
I
year.
think he's
You better
questionable.
knock on some wood, dude.
I think
You're the one who brought it up. You knock.
I do like him, so yeah.
Come on, just don't be bringing up bad juju here. We're 2-0. I'm liking this.
I want good
So
juju.
far, all that's gone is Gus Edwards. Like, come on, please.
Lamar Jackson
Everyone
is
else stay safe.
questionable.
No, he's not.
He's questionable.
Already.
Officially questionable?
It's his non-throwing hand.
Oh, that I know. He just hit that real hard.
Mark
on the ground.
Andrews quadriceps.
That was the same issue before this week.
It's a problem,
this is
though.
what we're talking
This is a
about.
problem.
There is something wrong with the training staff in Baltimore.
Well, I have no control over that.
I didn't say
I didn't say you did. I didn't think you had to
I
solve
didn't
the
think you had to
problem.
jump on a call with them.
Excuse
Maybe I
me.
should.
Excuse
Maybe
me.
you should.
Excuse me, guys. Stop getting hurt. You're
It's-
right.
It sucks because it's such a fun team to watch.
Most of the time, it's just stuff that happens on the field, which sucks.
Yeah.
It's like there's
because
not
you
really
have
much.
so many athletes. And athletes get hurt at a much higher clip than football players.
That's
Well,
fair.
they're all football players.
You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're trying to say,
When you-
but they're all being paid by professional football teams. They're all football players.
All right. Let's not get technical here.
You're
what
the
I'm
one who
saying.
was trying to get technical.
That's not true at all.
You're the one who calls them athletes and not football players. They're on the football field, are they not?
Very true. Very true.
Okay.
But we're talking about pure athletes who became football players versus people that are not generally born athletic or not gifted with insane athleticism and just played football their entire lives. There's a clear difference between those two. Lamar Jackson was given an unreal amount of athleticism. Odell Beckham, athlete.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about these, like Mark Andrews at the tight end position, athlete. There's athletes all over your offensive and defensive positions.
I don't mean to debunk you on that, but I think that if you were going to say that Mark Andrews is an athlete, I think he's more of a football player than he is an athlete in that regard. Of your questioning and your model that you made, Mark Andrews is built like a football player, not an athlete.
Okay. But you
I
understand what
agree
I'm
with
saying.
everyone else.
You
but
understand what I'm saying.
The running
It's
backs, the wide
explosive athleticism.
the running backs, the wide receivers,
We could go
and the
one by
quarterback.
one and go down the list, but there are an absurd amount of athletes on that team.
Can I say at least Patrick Ricard is a football player?
Ricard, but yeah,
That's what I said.
sure. I don't know too much about Patrick Ricard.
I know he weighs about 250 pounds and looks like a bowling ball, and it's really fun
Just
to watch
run
when he's on the
straight.
field.
If you guys want to let us know who you think is right, of course, you can message us at Dear Hollow Heroes on social media. Let us know who you think is right, Rob or Liam.
They're all going to say I'm right.
Please vote Rob now.
Because both of your parents listen and only one of mine.
Hey, don't waste our viewers' time.
Anyway, just blatant stubbornness, unbelievable. All right, we're gonna move on though. Well, actually, I'm gonna end this real quick with, I think the most safe answer here for who's the biggest pretender is the Falcons. I feel like it's the safest answer.
Well, yeah, we all can say this.
Yeah,
The Falcons.
safest. Yeah, everyone can say the Falcons. Anyway, the Atlanta Braves, Los Angeles Dodgers, Baltimore Orioles, and the Tampa Bay Rays have all clinched the MLB postseason. Yay! To nobody's surprise. How will the rest of the postseason picture shape for both the NL and the AL? What do you guys think? Do you guys want to have me go first again, or what do you think?
I actually have some thoughts on this one. I'd like to,
Okay, go for it.
So, the Atlanta Braves have recently just lost 4 straight. And so have the Chicago Cubs. Because that's baseball, Susan. Teams that are in the playoff race, or even who have clinched it, can still lose, which is the best part about baseball. Now, the Chicago Cubs, not making the postseason. I thought they were going to, but at this point, they seem like a lost cause.
I think they're in right now, though.
Oh, they might be in right now. I don't think they're going to make it. Where are they? Yes, they are tied with Miami with a 5-game losing streak. You can't be this late in the season and have a 5-game losing streak. Momentum means a lot in baseball. Just starting in the NL, there are 3 teams not in the wild card, 2 games out. You have the Reds, the Giants, and Miami, all right there knocking on the door. And Arizona's not that far. They're not already. They haven't clinched the spot. Yeah, only a half game up. I think for the NL, I think Milwaukee's going to clinch the Central just because the competition's not that fierce. I don't even know if they already have yet. No, they haven't.
They're pretty close.
I think by the end of the week they will. I think it's going to shape out to be Philly, Arizona, and either Cincinnati or San Francisco.
You don't think Miami has a shot either?
I think Miami is going to put up the biggest fight. I just think San Francisco or Cincinnati will just end up winning. I just don't trust Miami's starting pitching depth.
I would like to see Cincinnati. I want to see what Ellie De La Cruz can do in the playoffs.
Oh, that'd be fun. It'd be a lot of fun.
But if not, I would like to see Miami.
I don't think there are many... the thing with the NL is all of the teams that were going to be the big question teams of the playoffs are either already in it or already eliminated. It's the fringe teams that no one really saw coming, like the Cubs, Miami, and Cincinnati. No one saw any of those teams actually making a playoff push, especially this deep into the season.
I mean, I don't know exactly how the Cubs did, but Miami sucked last year and Cincinnati sucked last year.
Chicago was not good.
They were
either.
bottom of the barrel.
Yes. Middle of the barrel.
And San Francisco is okay. San Diego is okay, but I mean...
Well, San Francisco only 2 years ago had the best record in baseball.
Best record in baseball, yeah.
So they have the best manager in all of baseball,
but their teams never really jump out on paper at me.
No,
they never really. They don't stun me.
Kind of like what you were saying earlier about football players and athletes. The San Francisco Giants are just a lot of ball players.
Yeah,
just a lot of people who play ball. Now, if you go to the American League, I don't know if Ben has any input here.
So my National League that I have right now is, of course, obviously Atlanta is the first seed, Dodgers are the second seed, and Milwaukee is the third seed. But my wild card, I have at the first wild card spot, Philly. That's pretty easy. But the second wild card spot, I have the Cincinnati Reds. And the reason why, I think they have the easiest schedule, and I think they have the easiest schedule going through the rest of the season. I think I could tell you guys right now who they are, but I think they have it the best. And then my last playoff team is the Cubs because I think Miami has the hardest schedule going through here, and I think Arizona has it even worse. So I think that off of strength of schedule, off of the teams getting it right, now don't get me wrong, Chicago Cubs are in a bad spot, but I think Chicago will turn it around, have an easy schedule, get a good series here, get the confidence, get it going, just kind of finish out strong, get the wild card spot, while Arizona and Miami struggle to even win series as they go to the end stretch. So I have Philly, Cincy, and Chicago as the 3 wild card teams. But going on to the AL, Rob, if you want to lead us off there.
All right. AL, as it stands now, you have Baltimore, Houston, and Minnesota Twins, all with their respective divisions in their leads. But the only 2 that have officially clinched so far are Baltimore and Tampa Bay is clinched via wild card, and they can still win the division.
I was going to say, so no division has been clinched.
No division has yet been clinched, which is phenomenal for baseball.
Agreed.
Even the West, Texas Rangers and Seattle Mariners are all at most 2.5 games back.
What I love is Texas could lose a game and be out of the playoffs, and they could win a game and be winning their division.
Yeah.
That's entertaining.
It's a tough fight. Now, it is only a tough fight for that one last wild card spot, realistically, because it's between Texas and Seattle. Because the other teams in the spot, so in the wild card, it's Tampa Bay, Toronto, Texas. That's who's there right now. I don't think Toronto's going anywhere. They've just been hot. They have the best starting 5 in baseball just because they've been healthy and the same starting 5 all season long.
Pitching or hitting?
Yeah, pitching.
Okay.
Well, obviously there's a key injury hitting.
Yeah, but I was going to say, if he said best starting 5 in hitting, even with the
key
injury,
pitchers.
Even with the key injuries, it would be like, oh my God, dude.
No way.
No way.
What key injury are you talking about?
Bo Bichette.
Bo
Bichette's back. Been back for like a week and a half.
He went on IL again, didn't he?
Not
No,
since
I
I
don't
last
think
saw.
so.
No.
By the way, even with him, they're not the best starting five hitting, but
I didn't say they were. I was
okay,
talking about
good.
their pitching
Okay, good.
rotation.
Is pitching okay?
Their pitching rotation has been solid and healthy the entire year. That's what's got them this far.
They got blessed that they recovered after Manoah.
Well, yeah, because Manoah was their young guy coming up to replace one of the older guys, but the older guys still performed.
Manoah did not.
It's really just going to be which of these West teams will hold on. And I think it will be a dogfight to see who will win the West and then just make the playoffs. I think, personally, it's going to be Houston and Seattle. I just don't think Texas has it in them. They just got back Adolis Garcia and their rookie third baseman, Josh Young. But their bullpen has blown more games than any other team in baseball. They are bad in relief pitching. Like, really bad. And then they got the least clutch bullpen closer at the trade deadline in Aroldis Chapman, who's been blowing World Series since 2017. Not the guy you want to get when you're making a playoff push, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. Fine, he won a ring with the Cubs, and then since then has been dog water in the playoffs.
You know how that inning
Aaron
went?
Rodgers-esque.
Yeah.
You know how that inning went in his closeout inning against the Cleveland Indians at the time when he was on the Cubs for that World Series? You know how that inning ended?
Was it
2-run home run to tie the game. It went into extras because of Aroldis Chapman.
I remember. Yeah, so he's never been great in the playoffs, and I don't know why they got him anyway. But I think Seattle, just because they made the miracle push last year, and their pitching has also been their starting pitching has also been really good down the stretch so far. So I just see my final list as Baltimore, Houston, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and Seattle.
Well, I have obviously Baltimore winning the division and Tampa Bay taking the first wild card spot.
Obviously, you can't say obviously. They're
can't say
separated.
obviously.
They're separated by half a game, not even a full game.
I know, but Baltimore.
But Baltimore's a better team.
Baltimore's a better team. I think they're more motivated. I think they're not more motivated. That doesn't matter. But I think they're more.
I mean, they're more motivated matters, but I think both teams are equally motivated.
Yeah, as I was gonna say, motivation doesn't really matter in this situation.
Yeah.
I'm meaning more like I think they're more. I think it's more. They have the it more than Tampa does.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
The motivation.
That indescribable. Very funny.
They got that dog in them.
They got the
Is
dog
that
in
what
them.
you would say?
They got that dog in them. So I got Baltimore taking the first seed. I got Houston taking the second seed. And I got Minnesota taking the third seed. I think Houston's just too established to lose that division. I think when they need the win, they're going to get the win. So they'll do whatever it takes to win the important games to get that division. For the wild card, I have Tampa Bay getting the first slot. I don't even think it's not even a close race for that first spot in the wild card. Second wild card, I actually have Texas. And the reason being is I think that they're going to do a lot of head-to-head matchups with Seattle down the stretch, and I think they're going to win them. And I think they're going to win them pretty convincingly. And I see Toronto facing the Yankees in a plethora of games, and I think they're going to split a lot with the Yankees. I don't think the Yankees are going to make a playoff push anymore because I think it's over. But I think they're going to play a lot of really tough games against the Yankees. I think they have another tough series. I forgot which one, but Toronto doesn't have it easy. I could see Toronto easily taking that second spot, but I feel like they're going to have a rough end with their schedule, and I think they're going to take the third wild card spot. And I think Seattle will lose that series to Texas, giving them the second wild card spot. That's my AL. Cool. You fully agree, Leo?
I love it.
Beautiful. But I feel like neither of us are going to be wrong in this situation. It could go either way.
But one of us will have to be.
One of us will have to be.
I'm going to be right.
You and I kind of wish though. I kind of wish. I know it's not allowed, but to watch just Seattle and Texas do like a one playoff game, just a best of one.
They have 6 games left. This is going to be their playoffs.
I know it's going to be
gonna-
so good.
I've never thought I would want to watch Texas and Seattle play each other in the regular season, but this division has made me want to watch that match.
I know. You'd think you just watch it because it's the only thing on.
Yeah, exactly. You turn on MLB Network and they're like, "We're watching this game today." I was like, all right, fine. I guess this is
And
what
now,
I'm stuck with.
who does Houston play to close out the season? Anybody know?
That doesn't matter. They're Houston. They're going to win the division.
That's my thing. I think that it doesn't matter who they play because it's most likely a West.
I can
team.
check for you. Give me
I would
one
love
second,
to know.
and
I would just love to know if there's a shot here.
The Houston.
They're playing the Orioles.
Yes, they are, and they've been losing to the Orioles all season long.
So,
But then they got the Royals.
they got the Royals.
The
after that,
Royals.
right.
Then they got the Mariners. Then the D-backs. I think they could win both those series there.
D-backs are a playoff team. They could do something. Mariners could do something. The Royals are going to get smoked.
I think when it comes to clutch time, I think they'll handle the Mariners. I think the Royals are going to be an easy sweep, but especially when they need it.
But they only, I mean, Texas
2 out of
needs
3.
to steal 1 game. Seattle needs to steal 2 games to hop up and win that division.
Yeah, but Seattle has to face Houston and Texas, who are fighting for playoff spots. Seattle's going to get drained in that bullpen.
Yeah, you're right.
They're going to be drained.
That is going to take.
Seattle has the toughest road, and don't get me wrong.
They're the team out of the playoffs right now.
Exactly. So, and the D-backs.
Yeah.
The D-backs are going to fight hard, but I just don't think they have it against Houston.
Toronto doesn't have an easy schedule either.
Toronto doesn't, but I think that they have the ability to stay just because the West teams are all fighting each other.
True.
So the West teams, someone's got to lose it.
Play the Rays, the Yankees.
Yankees are easy. That's actually their whole schedule is just
The Rays
flipping
and
back and
Yankees.
forth between the
Yeah.
Rays and Yankees. Whoever made the schedule this year was very lazy for the early and end of the season. I do have to say that because it's been a lot of just flipping back and forth. It was like that in the beginning of the year as well. It was like the Yankees' first series was playing the Giants at home, and then a week later they're playing the Giants out in California. It's like, come on, separate it. But I think
Toronto could get bumped out of the playoffs.
the Yankees have to win the rest of the season in order to not get kicked out of the playoffs.
I don't think they really care. I think they still want to see their prospects play.
No, exactly. But the only thing is,
I'm not saying the Yankees are going to win and win out. I'm saying the Yankees are going to beat Toronto and kick them out of the playoffs.
Right.
And the Rays still want to win the division.
I think Texas.
That's absolutely.
I think Seattle plays too many of their own division rivals. That'll be the biggest factor, and not Toronto.
No, I 100% am with Rob on this. Don't get me wrong. I think Toronto's going to be pushed to the limit, and that's why I think they're going to get the 3rd spot. But Seattle is going to be pushed out of the playoffs for this reason. They do not stop playing playoff teams. They don't get a break. And they play really in the mix playoff teams.
Neither does Toronto.
Yankees are not.
Yankees are not a playoff team.
I mean, close. And the Yankees are not an easy team.
And
yes, they are.
Right now,
they beat us 7-1 today.
Yeah, this is the problem that the Yankees have. They cannot face a good starter, and that's all Toronto has. They have good starters. So as a Yankee fan, I gotta say, our kryptonite Toronto has. Now, don't get me wrong. I think the Yankees are going to play some good games, get them down to the 3rd wild card spot. But I don't think that whatever the Yankees and Rays do to them will be enough. Actually, I think Toronto will put the Rays out of the contest for the division.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen.
I always thought the Rays were not as good as the Orioles.
Oh, the Rays have potential to not even get through the divisional round.
I've been saying this since week 2 in the season when the Rays were hot. The Rays are not that good.
I think they might not get out of a wild card if they play it.
I've been saying the Orioles have been getting goods for the past 2.5 years.
You have
all
been
called
saying
me
that.
crazy.
And
So
that's a good transition to, I gotta say the craziest take Rob's ever said that has panned out is he said that the Orioles will win.
It hasn't panned out yet.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. But he has not panned out yet. But he has the Orioles becoming a good team this year, which is step 1. He has all of those young guns that on that Orioles roster being amazing. He's got 2. Now it's down to this. He has the Orioles winning a chip. You said in the safe bet, you said before 2026. But your exact bet is
2024.
2024.
He said this for the real fans. This is when we were broadcasting at Montclair.
I said this 2 years ago.
This was 2 years ago when Deer Hollow Heroes first started and we were strictly a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
This was one of Rob's first takes, and it's getting scary. It's looking like it might hit because the Orioles are real good.
You know how I said San Francisco players know ball? I know ball. I know organizational ball. I know the Orioles are going to be good. You want to ask? You were leading up to a question. Ask your question first. I'm already answering.
Go. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Cook it, dude.
So, yeah.
So, the Orioles have the best prospects and the best pipeline in all of baseball, hands down. Players are coming up and raking immediately. For them, there is no difference between single A, double A, triple A, and major leagues. I think it was 4 of the prospects they've called up this year. Now they've called up about 20 in total, but 4 of their first major league hits of these prospects were home runs. And that is a massive feat all of in itself. But these players have been playing phenomenal as rookies, like they've been there. They're playing like they've been in the league and they know what they're doing. And I think something that's helping them is that they're playing with a lot of their teammates that they've played with for years. You know, these aren't new guys that they're coming up and meeting. Sure, for some of them it is, but, you know, they're Adley Rutschman, their young catcher, and Gunnar Henderson, who's going to stick it either at shortstop or third base, one of the two. Those two have been teammates their entire careers through the Baltimore organization. They're essentially best buds, and they're playing together, and they want to win together. And the only thing that Baltimore is really missing is pitching depth. And they have good pitching. It's really just the depth that they lack.
Now, do they still have, in your opinion, good prospects coming through the ranks that can help them next year?
They have the number 1 prospect in all of baseball in Jackson Holliday. They want him to be shortstop so they can have Gunnar at third.
So do you think he'll be game ready next year to help them win the championship in 2024?
Yes, because he was drafted last year, and he is already in AAA this year. And to be drafted, you start in low A, then you go to high A, then you go to double A, then you go to AAA, then you go to the majors. For most ball players, from low A to AAA is 4 years. He's done it in 1. And he has looked better than everyone else in that division or in those leagues since then. It is honestly ridiculous how good he has been.
He's a starting shortstop opening day next year.
It is easily predictable. I think the only reason they haven't called him up this year is because they were planning to call him up next year, and we just don't want to rush him. Let him get a full run at it.
Don't start in the postseason. That's
and
too
they've
much
been
pressure.
performing so well this year. Why would they want to screw with anything?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So here's my question, though. Baltimore has the brightest future, but Atlanta, the number 1 team in baseball, they have potentially the best roster, and they have it for years to come.
They might have the brightest future.
So here's the question. Who has the better future? Now, I'm going to name off core players on both sides, Baltimore or Atlanta. For Baltimore, they have Adley Rutschman, Jackson Holliday, Gunnar Henderson, Jordan Westburg, Austin Hayes, Ryan Mountcastle, and you could even add Anthony Santander.
You're leaving out Cedric Mullins, which is insane.
Cedric Mullins. And then you could somewhat say Jorge Mateo, maybe? No. Okay, so they're pitching.
Sorry, Jorge Mateo, their current shortstop, who they plan on replacing with Holiday next year.
Yeah, fair. They have the best, in my opinion, the best setup closer back to back, and 2 young pitchers. I mean, one is out now, but he'll be back next year.
That wasn't a serious injury, was it?
No, it was.
It was?
He might get Tommy John.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, not to cut in here, did you hear about Ohtani? He won't pitch until 2025. Just cut it. Relax.
We're not cutting it. We're going to remind you that you were... It's going to be a good clip for social.
Now that you said it won't be.
Yeah. We can cut that. No, I'm kidding. So, they have a best setup to closer in Felix Bautista and Cano. And then they have a good starter in Bradish that's young. And they have a good starting rotation, but Bradish is young. So, with
Grayson Rodriguez.
And what?
Grayson Rodriguez.
Yeah, he's solid. I don't think we've seen greatness from him, but he's solid.
No, but he's good enough, and he's very young.
Yeah, he's bottom of the half rotation that could end up being second or third. With the Braves, you have, well, let's just start with the obvious, Ronald Acuna. Then you have Ozzie Albies, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Michael Harris, Sean Murphy, and you have the shortstop, Orlando Arcia, who is kind of out of nowhere. Another great shortstop for them. You have Spencer Strider and Max Fried as your pitchers. So, who, in your guys' opinion, with these cores, who do you think has a brighter future?
If I may, unless you would like to
go for it.
Okay, the Atlanta Braves. Simple, plain, easy. They have 5 players who already have 30 home runs this season. They have, I think it's 7 who have 10, and they are all signed. No one in Baltimore is signed, and the owner of the Orioles has said he doesn't want to.
That's the
He
most
says
concerning
he
part.
doesn't have the money to sign someone to a $200 million contract. A $200 million contract. That is middling for baseball.
So I would have no problem saying the Orioles, but I'm going to have to agree with you because the Braves are just so guaranteed. You know what you're getting from them. You obviously know what you're getting from Acuna. Barring any injuries, you know what you're getting from this team, and they're all going to be Braves. The Orioles, they could lose so many key pieces in the future. And we're talking about, and mostly, young guys and prospects.
Yes.
And we don't technically know how they're going to turn out. We can say they're all going to be great, and I'm sure they will be. But you never know when you're talking about youth, especially before they hit the league. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm definitely going Braves.
I'm going Braves for the sheer fact of they have their core through 2027. So I think
Exactly. They have their core through 2027.
Baltimore doesn't.
Baltimore loses their the prospects they called up first by 2026. So
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they sign them.
no, it's not out of the realm of possibility. They can still sign them. The owner might have just been talking out of his butt. Who knows?
And we might have seen just a clip from something that he
Oh
was...
no, he said it. He straight up said it.
I
I
know exactly what you're talking about. But you never know the context. He might have, I don't know, just woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day. Who knows? He could turn around and sign them. It's not, again, crazy.
No, but it's not. But he also hasn't signed the players that have gotten them here. He hasn't signed Cedric Mullins. He's let Cedric Mullins go into arbitration or just sign him to a 1 year. And he's proven he's a good lefty center fielder who will stick it out there almost in the entire year every year.
Yeah, but he might be making room on the salary cap for these younger players.
By not signing someone? No. He has Cedric Mullins has yet to get paid, and he's been on the team the longest. That's my concern.
Well, he blew up. You got to think he blew up at the wrong time. He blew up when the Orioles were still bad.
He's been the centerpiece around the rebuild essentially. He's been the piece that they're saying we don't need a center fielder. We're keeping Cedric Mullins without signing him. We're saying you are the guaranteed piece we will not get rid of. We will call up all of our prospects around you.
But if they were,
and we don't want to sign you.
If they were truly building around him, they would have signed him by now.
Speaking of signing someone, probable AL MVP Shohei Ohtani has been placed on the IL by the Angels, and soon after he has cleaned out his locker. Is this a sign that the two-way superstar is moving his talents elsewhere? Or is he staying and this is just no reaction?
He cleared out his locker before he was put on the IL. He forced the Angels to put him on the IL.
Ooh.
Which says a lot more than just him being put on the IL after probably winning another MVP with them. He had the so today is Tuesday the 19th. He has officially already had his surgery. It is done. It is complete. He is in post-op. His agent has said he will be ready to hit by 2024, and he will not pitch till 2025. Now that's just a guaranteed start for his pitching. He's not going back to the Angels. There's no way. The Angels tried their best to make a push this year and fell flat on their face.
It was so bad.
It was ridiculously bad. They said, you know what? We are going to try. We're going to trade for as many people as we can get. And then everyone was like, no, it's not about how many people you can trade for. It's the quality of the players.
And they screwed themselves because they could have got a lot out of a deal for Ohtani.
Massive, yes.
And now the value has gone down a lot, and he's probably just going to leave in free agency without signing.
Yes, that's exactly what will happen. I don't think he's going to get... I think he's going to, look at the offer from the Angels just because. If, you send me an offer, I'll look at it. It'll go in my no pile, but I'll make sure I look at it first.
Yeah.
I see him signing... Personally, I see him on the coasts. He's not going to Middle America.
Is it already time to speculate?
I would love to speculate. Are we allowed to speculate, Ben?
Mets or Dodgers? Who are we going with?
Oh, no. I have the Baltimore Orioles winning the 2024 World Series. That's been known. I've been saying that for years. Now, recently, with everything that's happened, I see the Angels trading away Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani signing somewhere else. Trout's going to get traded to the Phillies. Ohtani's going to sign with the O's to solidify a starter for that rotation. True number one and a great DH. And that's your 2024 World Series matchup right there.
But he's not pitching in 2024.
You're right.
Does not solidify the rotation that year.
It doesn't solidify it that year, but it will down the road.
And it's not like he's a great bat. He's so good.
No, he's not a great bat. He's the best bat. He's been...
Maybe.
Yes.
For the past 3 years, there has not been a consistently better player.
True.
He will give you 44 home runs, he will bat 300, and he will be top 3 in triples. And that's just him at the plate before you can start pitching again. And them saying he can't pitch next year is them just saying it's the safe bet is that he won't.
And now also we're assuming here that he's going to come back from this injury perfectly healthy. He's still going to be giving you 40 home runs.
Yes.
He's still going to be leading the league in triples.
I believe so.
I would like to think so.
It's the same surgery that Bryce Harper. Sorry, I was thinking Phillies. That Bryce Harper's come back from this year. He came back earlier than anticipated this year, and he's been playing like Bryce Harper plays.
Yeah, but injuries also affect people in different ways. You never can really say he's fine.
Oh no!
Until you see him play.
I understand that, but there's just something special about this guy.
I have one more problem with your O's take.
Yeah.
They've already had a problem paying the players they have.
I know.
How are they going to sign Ohtani?
I was thinking the same thing.
This is where they start.
This is where they start?
This is
Are
where
they
they
getting
start.
rid of Mullins at this point? Like, what's happening?
Oh, you just got to start signing people somewhere.
Just throwing money?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry. It's it's the trend baseball is on where owners are just saying, heck with the salary tax, I'll just pay anyone.
Dumping money into the
Yes.
teams.
Here, I have two things for you. One, Rob, I agree with Liam on the take of why give all the money that you said they weren't going to give to their own players to Shohei. You
Because he's
said
Shohei.
you said he wouldn't pay over $200 million for, and he's gone on record. You said won't pay $200 million for anyone, and you say Ohtani's going to be the exception.
I think he was bluffing so his players would hear him, so they would all accept small contracts to, keep the band together. But he has the money. Baltimore is one of the better markets in baseball. He's lying through his teeth.
All right. And my other second thing is Bryce Harper took forever to hit a home run after his surgery. He was struggling to hit up. Now, don't get me wrong, he came back too fast in my opinion, but it did take him a while to get the power swing back.
It did take him a while to get a power swing back, but he still had his swing. He was hitting singles and he was hitting doubles and he was getting on base.
I will say that's true. I'm just saying Shohei probably won't go over 40 if the trend is like Bryce Harper's.
Bryce Harper also had his surgery later. This season's still happening. Bryce Harper had his surgery as soon as the World Series ended last year. This gives Shohei a month extra time.
True, but
That's
there
fair.
is doubt.
There is that.
I have none.
All right. So, we don't doubt Shohei's leaving.
Yeah,
So no one doubts that. I got
gone.
him going to the Mets though. I got him going to the Mets. I think that just Uncle Steve will throw him anything he wants. Like he'll just be like, he's gonna give him a blank check. He's gonna be like putting numbers down.
12 years, $675 million.
Would you even want your team to give Shohei a contract like that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I don't think he's worth any less than 10 years, $550.
And also you got to put in this mindset. Shohei, if
Even
you're an
with the
owner,
surgery.
let's go on the owner's perspective. You know how much they sell out? The Angels are terrible. And it's
That
just
is true.
him
They're gonna sell
and
tickets.
sell-out crowd. You are not having a empty stadium with that dude on your team.
You're right.
You will get people flock from Japan just to watch Shohei play.
We're going to move on, and we're going to play the first ever installment of What You Say.
What you say?
Here we will read comments from our listeners and get live reactions from us. I have not told Liam or Rob what comments I have chosen, so the reactions they'll have are authentic as possible. Now, are you guys ready for the first one?
Nope.
Wait, these are from the comments on social media?
Could be. Some of them are comments on social media. Some of them are texts I've received. Some of them are a bunch of things like that.
Oh, okay, cool. Because I just also have the social media likings and have read those. So.
Well, probably then you're going to know the first one.
Okay.
The first one is a guy that we've all known since we were young. He was part of, because, of course, Deer Hollow Heroes is the name originated from a park that we always played basketball and sometimes football and sometimes baseball at. It's in Toms River, and this was a guy that was played basketball a lot and football and baseball with us in Deer Hollow. Ryan McIntyre.
Hey, shout out Mac.
So Ryan says about our take last week with the New York sports, he says, Zach Wilson making that Jimmy G type playoff run. The Knicks did very well considering the average age of their team is like 25. Also, Jalen Brunson is that guy. But football and baseball are definitely in the gutter right now. The Nets did trade everyone away. At least they got back that young core that might be fun. And he said the podcast is fire.
Shout out Mac. I appreciate you.
So what do you guys think? Do we agree with him on that?
So let's take this one step at a time here. Break it into pieces for me.
So his first take was Zach Wilson going to make that Jimmy G type playoff run.
Don't hate it.
No.
He's got a good team around him, maybe barring an O-line, and he's a terrible quarterback. Got good receivers and a phenomenal defense. It looks like the 49ers.
I've already said they're going to the Super Bowl, so...
Yeah, you can't take that one back.
I can't, no. I said it with my whole chest, so I'll mean it with my whole chest.
I like the take.
I think it's a very... Yeah, I see that happening. I just think the big difference is Trent Williams. Who's going to protect him in that?
That's the thing. The O-line looks bad. We could see him go down just as quick as Rodgers.
And Zach Wilson's not as good looking as Jimmy Garoppolo.
That's a really weird take. Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome.
Jeez, I'm crow. He said the Knicks did very well.
It's only when we're doing the show that he says that. Outside of this, he'll say the real thing. It's just so funny.
The Knicks did very well considering the average age of their team is 25.
Fair enough, but what I think is the real kicker here is that they lost to the 8-seeded Heat. That's the real bummer.
They went to the finals. I'm not complaining that the Heat, if I lost to the
Fair.
Heat, when they went to the finals.
Fair, but it hurts to see an 8-seed beat your team.
I bet every East team thinks that, too. That the 8 seed went to the finals.
Well, every team aside from my team.
Which is the 8 seed Heat.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
You just want to bring up the fact that the Heat beat him again.
No, I think Brunson is that guy. I think Julius Randle is horrible. And I think there's some good role players. I like Quickly. Mitchell Robinson I like. There's just a couple holes on that team. And they have good leadership, too, with D-Rose.
Yeah.
I know we kind of...
And Thibodeau. Sorry, go ahead.
And I know we kind of responded to what we said last week, or 2 weeks ago. I'm trying to remember which. But it's just... The basketball teams weren't really the problem. Especially with New York. Sure, the Nets kind of were, because they just straight up imploded.
But the Nets are rebuilding.
Yeah.
They're not making any type of push.
The Knicks, this is kind of the start of they've just finished building, essentially. And they're saying, look at this shiny brand new building. We need to get some people in the door first.
I don't see them going anywhere with their core.
I see the Knicks making something out of it.
You see a potential finals run? You see Jalen Brunson holding up the MVP trophy?
Actually, it's not unbelievable in my opinion.
Oh, no. That's crazy.
I think I see it possible.
I think it's crazy.
I think it's not in a foreseeable future, but I see 5 years down the line that being a...
I wouldn't hate it. I like Brunson, but I just don't see it.
All right. So, but he's basically cleaned it out with baseballs in the gutter right now. Yeah. Everything else, that's true.
Indisputable.
So, our next comment is from a guy named, who's my uncle, David Ketchum. He's my uncle. He told us after
Catch 'em all. Sorry.
He told us after our first episode, when we were talking, and I said, and I quote, Dallas might be the most overrated team in the league. He texted me right after that episode and said, Ben will regret that take.
Well, you certainly have.
I certainly have.
And that was it's a tough thing to predict that Dallas is going to be the scariest team out there right now.
From the get-go.
Maybe barring the 49ers. But even that, I'm questioning here and there. Because Dallas, we're so used to, all the memes, oh, this is our year, and then choking in the playoffs. We're just used to that. We're used to Dak throwing 30 interceptions. But now this is a whole new animal. So yeah, I mean, anyone who doubted right now is not a happy camper.
No.
And the last comment is not directed at us. It's actually directed from a WNBA guard, Sabrina Ionescu. She said after scoring 29 points against the Washington Mystics for the New York Liberty, she mentioned about curse of New York sports. She said, "We're going to let our work do the talking. We'll be able to shut up those people on Twitter that have anything to say with what's going on with New York sports," she quotes. "We've been playing the best basketball that's been played in New York City for a very long time. Whether people recognize it or not, they will in the next